Well, I started a render earlier without paying attention to what I was doing. I had intended to do coding before this, but I was sort of wondering maybe this render would end, but I wasn't paying attention. It was a 10 segment render. I did 11 recursions. And though I really didn't pay any attention to it, that means I'm doing 100 billion lines. I did an animation the other day, I think with a 1500 frames, and it was 15 billion lines. Took 2 3/4 hours. Drawing the lines takes the longest, by far the biggest chunk of the time for each render. So I could comfortably expect this to take whatever, 7 times longer, maybe 10, 12 hours. Can't remember what time I started it. Wasn't that early. And I'm pretty sure it hasn't crashed. According to the task manager, our render's still not responding. 23% or so, that's what it does. Does a bit more when FFmpeg's not capturing. But as it is, I kind of want to move on. And what's more, I wasn't paying attention, so I know the final renders are not really going to be worth it, except to maybe look at the log, because everything's going to be saturated. I didn't change this, the high is 500. I basically think every pixel will either be completely saturated or completely blank. So, is it worth waiting for? I really think not. Particularly as some steps I've taken to try and calm the hiss from my laptop have meant it's kind of enclosed in a little hotbox. Has some ventilation, but not that much, and anything I could do to help it keep cool. And apart from anything, soon I am going to be recompiling this, or I'll want to, and if I do, it's gone. So, that's my little quandary. Needless to say, I spent quite a long time just playing with it. So, do I just cancel? Probably cost me some money, a not invisible amount of money to have this running all day, like an idiot. I think I cancel. I want to move on. I'm sorry. Yeah, stop rendering. And that's it, it's amazing. I have done several renders now. It looks really reliable. I see it is it? Please tell me it is. Yeah. Yeah, it's gone. And you can go away as well. Now, the thing that I want to happen is I want the GUI to get fonts more easily. And the way that I'm going to do it is I'm going to make this change, I'm going to start at the outside, at main. And the first thing that I want to change is this. I want it to be in GUI. GUI space will still exist. And here's the other thing I want to be able to do. I want to be able to pass something like liberation. Just the word. Because I'll make a font called Liberation using that BMP bitmap font program in a little while when I've made some other changes. Yeah, I'm sure you think that's a problem. No. Okay. You, and you go away. You. Let's have a look at you. There's a lot of trash in here. Well, it's not really trash, it's just stuff. But another thing that's going to be in is going to be GUI. I think you will find it if you look again. main point of doing that is so that inside GUI I know exactly what I have, like from, well, so what I'm saying here is if I want to use my GUI, I stipulate I put the GUI folder in my source folder. Oh no, hang on a second. This doesn't make sense. I'm trying to find some way of saying, you know, I suppose this is the problem faced by it. Like, where on earth? I'm going to have to stick with the assets thing, but it's going to work that, yeah, no, I don't want it. I really don't want to stick with the assets thing. Like, how can I say to the assets, just load this thing? Oh man. What I want to be able to do, what do I want to be able to do? I'm just going to have to make it that I import it in there. That is absolutely maddening, because I think I'm going to have to make it that, okay, right, first off, let's reopen some code. Recursor, GUI. I wish you'd pay attention. I think you'll find it's fine. And I'll have GUI classes. For now, that'll do. Yes, thank you. What I'm concerned about is this import thing. I don't want to have to do that. I want to know where to look. And like, relative to the app directory, I can know where to look. But the app directory is like the Windows directory in Render Products Windows. Except that's the wrong Render Products, it's main products. This is the app directory. Assets, these things end up in here because I say in I hate my code sometimes, because I say inside init material equals this. I'm so frustrated by this fact. Like, oh man, am I basically going to be forced to just be, it's not, okay, well, fine, you know, I can do it this way, I can. It means that I'm going to leave that there anyway. I kind of prefer that GUI is just in GUI, and it's understood to be that, so that I can, so maybe I'll want to have a code folder, maybe I want to change how it's structured, but GUI I think can just be in GUI. GUI has to come after general, standard, module. Anyway, it can probably include those things itself, I guess. Import those things. Okay, well, fine. So I don't say this. I don't get my joy. I just get the font that you put in the GUI folder. And what this will actually import is GUI icons and GUI font. But now I have another problem. It's like, I suppose I can import a text file as an asset, can I? I mean, I must admit, I'm not great. This is accessing it as if it's a file. So, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to just import a text file. And it's going to be the GUI font file. GUI font.fnt. Okay, I will make it happy here. I'll go in here. I feel like deleting everything in there, but really what I will do is I'll take away this shadow, take away that anyway, and I'll take away this. And I think that that's what I want. And I'll put it in GUI as GUI icons. As you please. Now, for the font, I'm just going to generate a new one because this has become a bit of a mess. I've basically forgotten what's what. And I have now what I want from that, so it can... Okay, look, fine. It's a mess, but fine. Now in here I've got GUI icons, don't I? Yes. Everything else I feel is bloomin' irrelevant. These two things maybe. Chessboard is not. GUI classes oh no, okay, right. Of course, not everything else is relevant. This. Okay, I'm going to make a note of another folder. GUI junk. I believe it is GUI junk. And it's this. But not this. But they all belong in there. So now I've got the sources, the icons, the chessboard, junk, and these things to do with the compiler. So the other things that I want in there are a bitmap font. This is Source Sans Pro. This is what I did before, so I'll just do it again. Save bitmap font as code recursor GUI font dot font. Hey presto. GUI font. This kind of info. Let me just see where it ends. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think that my code will work with that. And GUI font opung. This bunch of stuff up at the top. So, thank you, sir. And I wish you'd pay attention. But let's see what you think about this. Import GUI font. You really think this doesn't exist? Ah, okay, it's called GUI font O. Well, that means GUI font page 0. Annoys me to have to rename it, so should I just do this here? I'm going to have to give it a name anyway when you save it. Fine, 0. Do as you As you wish. And this is fine with this, so I guess I can later in my code. Man, that is actually really friggin' annoying, honestly. How can I say to it? You'll find your stuff in this directory relative to the source. I mean, I know, sort of, except that stuff can only be put there after I suppose what I have to do is build it, put the things there. And where am I actually even putting them? You know, this is a thing I create. This is created for... Look, I've got Deja Vu and Deja Vu Sans Mono, 2 type fonts. Shaders, themes, 1K. How big's a 2 type font? Like a megabyte of my stuff is going to a 2 type font and I'm going to all this trouble. There are bitmap fonts in Monkey anyway, I just like coding this stuff. Well, I must admit I'm just going to have to go with this. But it makes it, the thing that makes it really difficult is that, or difficult for me to think about, is that init does use my own gfont. Gfont is general font. It's here, you know. When I'm saying to general font, so I'm kind of building in a kludge, and because this is a goddamn asset, like I wouldn't even know what I'm passing in there. What am I passing? Ugh, I am feeling a sense of despair about myself. But okay, this is actually looking for files, so I suppose, yeah, I can pass this and it'll pretend it's a file. Because I've imported it. I feel anxious about this, but it means that my gfont now okay, well I suppose I just build it in. Yeah, maybe it'll find one of these things. Although actually these things I want to be a thing of the past. It's absolutely not the way I want to do it. I want to be able to put what I want in there without having to import them all. What does it mean when I import it? It puts it into the directory. That doesn't. It's not the same as loading it, I guess. Yeah. How can I make it import everything that's in the directory? I have to come in to this code to alter it when I want to pass the name of a font that will be in the GUI directory. Like, what can I do? I suppose actually when it comes down to it, I've got this sense of doubt. About what the assets folder is. It's like, it's just chucked these things in here. Do I get to decide where they go? And is that thing in protect, like, will me just throwing other things in there Like, I'm trying to think this through. I'm trying to think a way that would make it easier whenever I run it. And the only thing I can think is not initializing the font at the point the gadget, the GUI is initialized. Like at the point the GUI is initialized, I could, I don't know, check the assets folder. Maybe I'm making this too hard for myself. Let me have a little look. Where is, I was having a look at the 3D commands. Monkey has a whole 3D engine, which I've never explored because I'm just so tied up in my own little world. STD file system. Assets directory. Gets the file system of the app's assets directory. Note that the only desktops, okay, other targets will return an empty string. Okay. Set assets directory. To use the default set to empty. Okay. Desktop directory. Okay, yeah. Home directory. Okay, mobile targets, yeah. Current directory. Gets the process current directory. I suppose I do have to think about it in terms of what the code is going to be doing in the end. Yeah, it's like the GUI does need a font to look for, does it? Well, it needs its default font, I suppose. And then after that, it's a case of setting a font. Man, that's it's just, I can't, like, no, what you have to do is make sure it's in what your executables assets directory. Oh me, oh my. Well, it's not the end of the world. I suppose I can have a set font where you just provide a font, these two pieces of information, you know, a pung and a font, and it will plop the font into the texture, I guess. Although I realise, yeah, I have to load them both as pix maps. Am I going to have to load them both as pixmaps, save them, and then load them as a texture? I have a feeling I probably am. I hate thinking about this sort of thing, and I like it less because of this. I mean, I can see the point in it, it's just I can't think my way out of it. I can't actually think of a better way of doing it either, you know. So what actually is going to happen inside init? Because this is not going to happen no more. Material is going to load something from asset, probably, yeah, but I'm going to create something in asset for it to load. And this is going to use asset GUI font.fnt. Right. Local font pixmap equals, I don't know what it is, pixmap.load. load. Right. Asset. Font. GUI font. Dot pung. O1. That dot pung. And local icon pixmap. Pixmap equals pixmap load asset GUI icons dot pung. Is that really all there is to it? Format PM alpha. What's PM alpha? About importing alpha values. Gosh darn it. Well, I'm going to go with this and just see how I could get on. Actually, I think it'll be okay. Right, so now I want to draw. Now, actually, I want to. Ugh, man. Ideally, I'd extract the font.font information first. I could make a different version of gfont open where you passed in the data, because I could get the data basically here inside, maybe inside general, actually. In fact, inside general gfont. I've got get letter data, but I could say get font data. And I'll say I'll get font data because it's going to accept a font file and it will return an array again. And it will return a file string equals did. And what it's going to do, let me think for a sec, what is it going to do? Well, what it's going to do is basically what BMF to data does. I'll make it a little bit better than this, to be fair. I assume I still have that. General. This. Okay, so if file, I won't call it, I'll call it FF, font file. I don't need that. I have C string. BMF. This is FF. FF sake. Outlines. Now, this is where it's different because I'm not producing I'm producing an array. Sorry. So, but the way that I'm going to do it is I'm going to say, I'm going to actually call it, and I am producing a single array. So I will call it outfloats, float list, because I am going to just make a list first. Out string. Now I don't think I need any of this because I'm just making, I don't need the string. making up this. Yeah, I remember what I'm doing. I'm making up those remarks. Totally unrequired. Now in string, chop XY width height. Now I don't know if I need XY width height. I do just need chop. And this is an int list. Because I forgot these are just ints. Is it? Are they? Be they? I can know in a second. Yeah, they are. They're ints, alright. It's kind of strange, but okay. So I need chop. Here I get to the first one and I immediately start chopping. I say chop equals this. So then I say, what was it, outints? Yep. Out floats. Ints. Outints. Add last. The int of chop. And again, outints. Add last. The int of chop. And outints. Add last. The int of chop. And outints. Add last. The int of chop. Okay. This bit is not necessary, nor this, nor this. This, nor this, nor this. And if it's this, this happens, and this, and this, and this, nothing happens with, but that happens. And this is not what happens. This and this becomes irrelevant because there is no error situation here. Well, what do you get? I don't know yet. Let me look again over this. First off, it all needs to be unrhymed. No, untabbed, I mean. The thing that needs to happen at the end is none of this. It is return outints to array. Do I have to do this? No, I don't really think so. You really reckon that's okay this time? What about this is wrong? Oh God. Okay, yeah. Got ya. Okay. Now I'm just going to take away these bits that I believe are extraneous. I must be extremely tired and thick. need any of these. Sorry, I just totally ignored my video for a second. There's something slightly important came up. Now, you have a problem? Okay. Right. Else. Return new int c length times 4. No, I need square brackets here. And I think that that will basically just like return an empty array. You'll get nothing. Have I made a mistake? I'm just so slow at that kind of thing sometimes, remembering just the syntax. Anyway, okay. So, now I have this. What was it I was actually going to do with it? The thing I was going to do was make an alternative open. Where you pass in the array. Sorry, I'm just going over the logic in my mind, what it would take to just be able to use this again. And I suppose the alternative is open in a weird way. Oh man, like you could get font data, get letter data, or open with bloody data. Why am I, the reason I'm having a problem thinking about it is I want to get the letter data before I open the font, because I want to decide yeah, because I want to decide how much of the pix map at the top of the font I'm going to copy to the top of icons. I'm not just going to copy the top half, because many of the fonts are smaller and look fine. I want to find the bottom of the range. But that brings me into a quandary about how do I call this. I mean, I could call it with this anyway, I suppose. Maybe I'll just do that. What it then does is get letter data with that string. Get letter data is my halfway house that allows me to just stick in bits of data like this, hideously, or do a default where I would actually return the results of get font data, which I'll do. With, what was it? N. This is all just terrible, really. I'll do what I can just now to compress it, like I'll keep the bits I plan to keep. Because some of these do sort of work, and I will not really be keeping them, assuming this works, but I can't be completely certain. And I probably don't need this bit, so I'll just take it away. A lot of the fonts that I made small alterations to didn't need the alterations after I had improved the sort of the text rendering. Oh, this has really dragged on as I've been pondering about it. It's 40 minutes of me just thinking. Again, pretty much just thinking. So there's a bunch of data there, or there is get font data. And if there's get font data, it uses it as a file, loads it up, gets the data, returns it as the array. So now I can call open with, I mean in theory, according to what I understand, open with this. But I may as well just bloody get all this stuff first and say local font data int equals g font get font data asset GUI font.fnt. Now, for local I int equals 0 until, what is it I'm really doing here? I'm looking through, because I won't know, because of the way that the bitmap font program works, I won't know which is going to be the lowest thing. So I want to first off say local low point, or what is it really? It's high y int equals 0. So I'm wanting to go through, like, I'm going to do it this way. Current letter int equals 0. And I will say while not current index equals 0. Repeat until current index is greater than or equal to fd length. Yeah, that's an array, fd length. I'm pretty sure that's okay. And what I say is if fd ci plus 1 plus fd ci plus 3 is greater than high y equals, okay, I'll say local current below int equals 0, current low equals this. So what it's saying is start at the start of the array of letters that has just been gleaned from GUI font.font, current index 0. Take current index plus 1 and current index plus 3. The the integers are in order x, y, width, height. So at 0 there's an x, at 1 there's a y, at 2 there's a width, and at 3 there's a height. And then it repeats. I also need to do this, obviously. ci plus equals 4. Yeah, then it repeats. No, not quite. I need this, and this, and this, and this. Okay. So I add the y position and the height, and I see if it's greater than high y, and if it is, high y equals it. Then at the end of that I say high y plus equals, say, 8 as a buffer. Then I say pixmap, copy pixmap. How does it work? What IP copy? And copy pixels, write pixels. Let's just have a look at pixmaps. Discard, file system can go for now as well. Somewhere in std there is graphics, pixmap. Pixmap. Paste a pixmap to the pixmap. In debug builds, a runtime error will occur if an operation write pixels outside the pixmap. No alpha blending is performed, pixels in the pixmap simply overwritten. That's okay. So paste, maybe, clear, copy. Creates a copy of a pixmap, yeah. Pre-multiply alpha. Optimize. That looks like my code and they've marked it optimize. Window returns a rectangular window into the pixmap. It returns a pixmap. Okay. XY coordinate at the top left of the window, and the width and the height. Okay, so right, I can now clip my pixmap, then paste it to the other pixmap. Right. That all correct? Is there a width and height thing for pixmaps? Yep. Okay. Returns a rectangular window into the pixmap. So if I say IP equals IP window 0, 0, IP width, high y, then I say, what was paste? Paste the pixmap to the pixmap. Well, I guess it means it's going to paste this to what I've got, which would mean, no, I want a FP to be FP'd and FP'd, but then I want IP'd to be pasted with FP at 0, 0. Then I guess I want IP to be saved at assets directory plus GUI material .png. I go to make the GUI material, I'm actually saying asset. Well, can I just say assets directory plus GUI material? That's what I want to say. I'm going to say it. Okay. And then that, oops, this should connect up that material with that thing, which I'm now deciphering for the second time, but who cares? Right, now, weirdly, I just can't, okay, I suppose I can say also, so now, I can now say fp, what is it, release, or discard, and ip discard, and fp equals null, and ip equals null. I think that is what I have to do. Now in a way I'm tempted to run it because I've got no idea why it wouldn't work now, if you know what I mean. I'm pretty sure that inside GUI I've got GUI font, GUI font. Oh, let's go for it, come on. Tell me the mistakes I've made. Wait. Give me that debugger. Okay, well, it's been 52 minutes of me just chatting. No, I haven't been just chatting, I've been thinking this through. I know I'm not getting the right way of thinking about this. I say I know, I'm sure I'm not getting the right way of thinking about this. But let's see what it says. I wonder, I mean, I'm just running it. If it doesn't have a font, that, you know, I've made mistakes. I almost feel like saying, how can this possibly work? But then, all of the code, bits of the code have been tested. Oh, come on now. It's been a while since it's been compiled and released. Bated breath here. Well, I don't believe it. I say I don't believe it. I guess I do believe it. Not getting many frames per second. The debugger's on. Right. I can see this appears to have made it exactly as it was. Like it seems to have had no problems whatsoever. Not really. There are still tiny issues with the way it draws. I'm as happy as I can be, and also there is another issue, which is that this is out of whack and may get more out of whack the further it goes. No, it's just a bit out of whack. Actually, it doesn't look as bad as it did before. Difficult. Okay. Right. The first thing I'm going to do is clear up a bit, because I want some smoothness. Right. Well, okay, so on the one hand, I'm pleased that everything seems to work. How, but what? Like, I'm not sure how I get. Oh, I suppose there's this. And look, that is there. I can hardly believe this. So if I look inside Windows, Assets, GUI Material, absolutely perfect. Now that probably added a bit to the compilation time. But now, like, the temptation now is just to try out a whole bunch of different fonts to see really if one of the main things I can do to improve me fonts is just try out different sizes. You can see it's just not quite lining up with some of these letters anymore, and that's because there's a difference between there's a subtle difference between the way these things are being calculated. It's very subtle. It's not too bad, but it does need fixed. Anyway, in the meantime, this is just like a joy. And I'm going to try a different font immediately to see if it'll just work. Let's put these things in assets. Like, I hope that I can just go into code, into the cursor, into GUI, and I've got this and this. That is icons. Yeah, icons is what it gets combined with. So now I just alter icons. If I push up into the space that is going to be occupied by the GUI, then I'm boogered. But so let's go to code. BMF to data, not BMF to data, code BMF font, BM font. And I just like have a look at something else. This is not the best way to look at but one thing which I actually would like to try is just saying like 80. I think 80 might be too big. In fact, I'm certain it will be. Let's just save bitmap font as, I'll save it in code as BMF. Yes. In code BMF. Well, no. I mean, that is definitely occupying a small enough amount of space. So now the temptation is to go, okay, fine. Let's say I do want to try and make it sort of, what happens if I go as high as 100? The font widens obviously as well. Yes. So it's going to quickly start to occupy more rows. But you see, that would just work. I'm sure it would, and it would be pretty interesting. Like, am I getting the right bottom of the font? Am I, like, okay, I'm going to give that a go. And to do that, all I do is, I could copy them in, but I'll save as bitmap font in recursor, GUI font. Yeah, hell yeah. Now you are gonna get your release mode inactivated, and let's just have a look and see what it produces. What am I interested in here? I'm interested in recursor, main products, Windows, assets. I wish I'd deleted this first. I should time my startup to see how long it's taking to faff around getting that information out of it. This fraction of a second. Why should I care? Going back to release mode, though, obviously doesn't like it too much. I shouldn't complain. I'm not complaining about this system. It's clever in a way to get, to be flexible across lots of targets and everything. I just don't quite understand it. And also, like, it is hard to imagine what am I really imagining would be better. Anyway, this is nearly over. That's me for an hour. If this works, then, joy unconfined. And it does. It just worked. I can't tell if it looks better. I think in some ways it does. There are some values, some letters, which I know had little bits cut off them before and now don't. that is more accurate than it was before, if you know what I mean. I'm kind of not that surprised by that. That's pleasing. It's pleasing that it looks, I think, kind of better, but also it's pleasing. One thing I want to look at is GUI material. Yeah, so that's it, nearly occupying half the space. And it's pretty big. And there's a lot of space left for icons. And I suppose if I ever find myself running out of space, then one thing is I could always use other. Look at that. The side of that O is cut off, and that is gutting. Nothing's ever quite perfect, but I'm going to try a couple of other fonts. But for the time being, well, this was a bit of a struggle, really, wasn't it? In a way, I've spent all of an hour just doing this, and what the result is something that looks extremely similar to what was here before. I am aware of it, but it's actually quite different. It's going to be so much nicer bringing in new fonts, and I'm going to give a couple a go. Some just out of curiosity, but some to be seriously considered. The next thing though is I'm going to find a good font, because I'm really getting quite happy with the way the GUI looks. Then I am going to do some restructuring to get, partly to make a sensible space for that thing I spoke about so long ago, the hide control button. The button which you will get the opposite of when you hold the toggle control key on the keyboard. Well, if the button says show controls on, clicking the button will take them off. If the button clicking the key will take them off. If the button says show controls off, clicking the button will show the controls. The frame is going to be totally separate, but that is something for me to think about next time.